characteristics of the people of Jannah, or Ashabul Jannah. And this is really important for us because, like in anything in life, whenever we see people who we perceive are to be successful people, we're going to ask them for help. Like, you did like a really hard math test, and some Asian kid got like 100%. So, you ask him, can you help me out or something like that? Or, whatever, do my homework for me. You're going to ask the guy for help. You're going to learn how he does well, okay? And the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't leave us in this world without guidance. And He gave it to us in the book of the Quran. But also, He gave us tangible examples of people who are successful and how we can attain success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that La yastawi ashabul nari wa ashabul jannah. Ashabul jannah people al-faizun. Which means not equal are the people of Jannah and the people of Jahannam. Because the people of Jannah are the successful people. And so you might ask, how can I be of the successful people? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He answers it. He answers it in the beginning of Surah Mu'minun. So inshallah, I'm going to just read it briefly. And we can learn a lot of lessons just from the first 11 ayahs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. So the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. It says the believers are the successful. They have attained success. Then He defines who are the believers. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. The one who are humble. They are so humble. They have complete humility when they pray. And you notice, what does Allah say is the first characteristic of a believer? He prays. Okay? It is the most important thing for any one of us. Because there are a lot of Muslims now, they're very lax about their 5 daily prayers. Or they just don't care for them. Or they say they'll pray it later. And I just want to stress, I don't want to be harsh on people or anything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning it to us. Just how important prayer is. And whenever your teacher schedules a meeting, and it's a really important meeting, you go to that meeting that he has. And if you miss that meeting, it's like it looks really bad on your part. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us to Him 5 times a day. And it's not, it can be quite difficult for us to pray. So this is part of the challenge. And this is part of the sweetness of getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. About how He wants people to pray to Him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need our prayers. I mean, if no one in the entire world prayed to Him, He would still be Rabbul Alameen. He would still be number 1. And if everyone in the entire world prayed to Him, He would still be number 1. His rank cannot increase, nor can it decrease to people. Okay? And then the next characteristic, there says, وَالَّذِينَ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. The ones who stay away from vain talk, from useless talk. So, there's a lot of us that, we get swept away by national crises like, Kim Kardashian's divorce, It's a big deal, you know what I mean? We get so involved with all this gossip. We get so involved with it, oh my God, how could you do that, or whatever, or I was expecting it sooner, or whatever, we get caught up, we get swept away with a lot of the most, trivial things, and, that's just, part of this, right? And then, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, the next attribute is the people who make zakat. They make a lot of zakat. They really, purify their wealth. With zakat, it means to purify. And so it's basically the Islamic philosophy that your wealth has some filth to it. In order to get it removed, it's by giving the charity away. And one of the tricks of shaitan is to tell us that if you give away your wealth, you're going to become poor. He wants you to hesitate when you put the money in the zakat box, or he wants you to hesitate when you see a beggar on the street to give money to. And it happens to us as well. Sometimes we don't want to stop and give people money. But there's a lot of benefit just for giving zakat to people. Islam is not all just about you do your prayers, you just worry about yourself, you stay in your little room, you just make zikr all day. This is not all Islam. Because Islam is also a social religion. Okay? It's about helping others as well. If a religion is not going to help other people and make their lives better, then it's not a very good religion at all. Islam, we should be the best characters, and we should be the best of people who want to help others. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, the one who protect their chastity, except for the ones that's their wife or their spouse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He really wants us, He prefers for everyone to get married instead. And you can see a lot of problems in the United States society about how there's a lot of divorce rate. I just mentioned Kim Kardashian, okay? So that's for case for through, okay? But it's not just her, it's a lot of people who, have a lot of relationship problems because, they tread through the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't put for them. If there's a hadith, the Prophet said that through zina or fornication, there will always become poverty out of it. And if you see so many people nowadays, so much humiliation, so much scandals and everything happening, people think they can get away with it, but Allah will catch them one day. And if He does not catch them in this life, He will catch them even more in the next life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's important that we have these haya modesty guidelines there. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says next, the people who keep their amanah. So amanah is like a covenant. So the people who they're not like scumbag Muslims, so they say they'll do one thing and then they don't do another thing, They're like, they're people who you trust them and they won't cheat you, they won't lie to you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now for the last attribute, it says the people who really guard their salat, hafidun, the people who guard all their salat. Now if you notice, what did Allah start with? He started with salat. What did He end with? Ended with salat. It's no coincidence, that this salat is the most important thing on how to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we may feel that our deen is lacking, then it probably lies. The Prophet ﷺ said, if the person's salat is bad, everything is going to be bad. If the person's salat is good, everything is going to manifest itself as good. And that's important for us. I myself, I'm probably the weakest at salat. Just I get so distracted thinking of other things as well. And it's something that all of us can improve on. But inshallah, one day, we'll have proper khushu. We'll think, we won't hurry our meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're all going to, be closer to Him. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends off. He says, the people who have fulfilled all these requirements, He says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ, they will be the inheritors. And then I'm saying, what are they going to inherit? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers in the next verse. He says, الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. They will be the inheritors of Jannatul Firdaus, the highest level of Jannah. And they're going to live there forever, for the rest of their lives, all because they did the right things in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the blessings of Jannah are unheard of. There are things the eye has never seen. There's things that the ear has never heard. And the brain cannot fathom. And you might think that, I got my iPhone, that's everything I need, right? Or whatever. Well, think of the Prophet's time. They didn't have iPhones, they didn't have, soccer balls or basketball. Well, we don't have basketball either anymore. They didn't have a lot of stuff, right? So if you were in the desert, it's kicking a soccer ball in the Prophet's time, it's pretty cool stuff, And that's a lot less than archery, So then so there's so many things Allah has waiting for us in store. So many things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us that, I will give you the wine of Jannah, which will not give you. It says, La fiha ghawlan wa la hum anha yunzafun. It means they're not going to have any weariness, they're not going to have any hangovers. Okay?
And that's awesome, right? In Jannah, man, it's Ramadan, like all the Pakistani people, they got their little keg of ruafs or whatever, milk. It's like in Jannah now we'll be rocking it, we'll have, whatever the Grey Goose is, whatever like that, you know what I mean? And the thing is here's one thing I want to, all joking aside, there's the thing is, it's not enough for us to be believers. We all have to pay our dues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the beginning of Surah Al-Kabut, He says, do they say they believe and then they don't think they're going to be tested? So, all of us as Muslims, we're going to be in different gradations, different levels of Jannah. You might be in the Jannah where you get some pretty cool water, or you might be in the Jannah where, you get the keg, basically. And, and there's different gradations Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in many different surahs. And, and all of these are just ways to entice people to become the best, So, in school, right? You want to try your best to get, passing grade, or, getting an A, right? Everyone wants to shoot for an A plus or whatever. And then there's some people who they just want to pass, man. They just want to get in a Jannah, other thing else, it beats the alternative, okay? And that's the thing. There's going to be different gradations. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran that ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ, which basically means of all the believers, He made us the inheritors of the book. Every single one of us in this room is the inheritor of the Quran. And it's a very amazing, title Allah gave to us. Awrasna al-Kitab. He made us the inheritors of this book. But He divides us up into three categories. The number one category are the Muslims who are zalimun li nafsi, which means they did zulm on their own soul. They did injustice to their own soul. Zulm means injustice, but also it comes from darkness. So they did which basically, and then the next type of group are the muqtasid, the one who are half and half, okay? And then the last ones are sabiqun bil khayrat, the ones who are the best of the best. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in this order for a reason, because He mentions them from greatest in quantity to least in quantity. Majority of Muslims, including myself, I suppose, we are zalimun li nafsi, because we wrong ourselves. It is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrongs us, but it is that we wrong ourselves. When we do something bad, when we say something, a bad word or a curse word or whatever, it's not hurting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's hurting ourselves. If you see all of us, we're all going to college, we're all paying money for it. So the professor, he might say something to you that you're the one getting screwed over if you have to repeat this class. You're the one paying the money for it, right? You're the one who's taking the hit for it. It doesn't bother me if you get a C, or if you get a D, or if you get an A, because it's your effort as well. So in the same way, we can relate to it. That, many of us, we don't appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. The second category of people are muqtasid, the one who, they do a lot, but they don't do a whole lot. They're half and half, They might say I fasted all that day in Ramadan. Now let's break some fast with Budweiser or something like that. You know what I mean? They just do something and then they have something completely different, right? And then the last one is as-sabiqun bil khayrat, the one who they always do their best. They always try. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of us, I'm not trying to scare anyone into thinking that we have to be perfect. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never expected us to be perfect. He never had expectations for anyone in this room to be perfect. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says, if you people were to not sin, if you were just a group of people who were just not sinning, I would replace you with people who would sin, but they'd ask forgiveness. So it is amazing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows that we are weak. He knows that, we aren't the best people. He knows we're going to succumb to weakness. He knows that, He designed us, He manufactured us. He even said, I made man weak. I made man with a hasty mind. And, it's amazing. Just imagine, how flawed we are. How, how silly we are. If we go to the store and we we look at, we were trying to buy a phone or trying to buy one thing. We're there's a little scratch on the side. I'm not going to buy that, But look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. accepting us despite the fact we're the most flawed people. Despite the fact that, we have nothing. We are nothing. We're just maggots. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is